Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is 12 o'clock Newsbreak. In the local scene, the provincial government of Albay, headed by Governor Edsel Drexlagman, signed a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Education and Fundación Educación y Cooperación, or EDUCO, on March 13, 2024 to improve children's education in the province. The agreement includes potential areas of cooperation by the parties for early childhood care and education, support to learning recovery program in the basic education level, education in emergencies and school-based DRRM, and learner protection, participation, and well-being. The target project beneficiaries under the signed MOA will be selected schools in Albay. The MOA signing was held together with the DepEd Schools Division Superintendent of Albay, Nene Rosal Mirioles, and EDUCO Country Director Gemma Castillo Goliat, attended by other stakeholders and student representatives to witness the significant mark for educational development intervention in Albay. In other story, the Provincial Health Office of Albay conducted a second batch of water sampling at Barangay Bagatangke in Malinao to assess the possible contamination of water sources with diarrheal pathogens. According to the Provincial Sanitation Team headed by Rural Sanitation Inspector Anthony Lodovize, the first water sample taken from the main water source in 6 different sites in said barangay turned out positive in Escherichia coli, or E. coli. It can be recalled that 24 out of the first 26 cases recorded positive with diarrhea have already fully recovered, with the added 9 new cases are still recovering. In other news, about 16 women deprived of liberty attended the jointly conducted orientation on women's rights and legal protection to women deprived of liberty held on March 12, 2024. The event was facilitated by the Provincial Social Welfare and Development Office, PSWD, and Albay Provincial Jail. Participants in the said event received hygiene kits and storage boxes apart from the gaining knowledge from the insightful discussions. The activity was also graced by the presence of the Provincial Administrator, Attorney Sheena Marie Onrubia de la Cruz, and Vice Governor Glenda Ongbungao. In the national scene, on March 14, the SUV driver involved in the crash on Skyway Stage 3 in Quezon City that killed a counter-flowing motorcycle rider has been released, the Police Highway Patrol Group, HPG, said. Police received a copy of the release order from the Quezon City Prosecutor's Office on Tuesday, March 12, HPG's Lex. Substation Chief Police Captain June Cornelio Estrellan stated. The relatives of the motorcycle rider declined to be interviewed, and instead they said that they were communicating with the driver of the sports utility vehicle. According to SOCO, the motorcyclist was traveling at 80 kilometers per hour, above the 60 kilometer per hour speed limit on Skyway Stage 3. HPG said only motorcycles with 400cc engine displacement and above are allowed on expressways and skyways. In other story, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. maintained his net satisfaction rating in the 4th quarter of 2023, a recent survey by the social weather stations. The results of the SWS survey conducted on December 8 to 11, 2023 showed that 65% of adult Filipinos are satisfied with the performance of Marcos, while 21% are dissatisfied and 14% were undecided. The rating is good at plus 47, up by 3 points from the plus 44 rating Marcos received in September 2023. Net satisfaction rating for Marcos also rose in all areas of the Philippines except Mindanao. In other news, the government is targeting to roll out free breast cancer tests, such as mammography and ultrasound, by June this year, the Department of Health said Thursday. DOH said that the state-run insurer PhilHealth approved Wednesday the inclusion of mammography and ultrasound in its benefit package, which also helps detect other conditions such as abdominal problems. Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa ordered PhilHealth to include ultrasound and mammograms in its Consulta benefit package after several lawmakers called to expand the insurer's coverage to primary care screening services. DOH said PhilHealth targets to implement the increased payments by June 2024 or earlier, depending on the completion of operational details such as IT system enhancements. And in the news outside the country, Russia is believed to have jammed the satellite signal on an aircraft used by Defense Minister Grant Shapps to travel from Poland back to Britain. A government source and journalists traveling with him said on Thursday, March 14. According to the source and journalists, the GPS signal was interfered with for about 30 minutes while the plane flew close to Russia's Baltic exclave of Kaliningrad. Mobile phones could no longer connect to the internet, and the aircraft was forced to use alternative methods to determine its location, they said. In other story, Pope Francis has no intention of resigning as he feels that his health is good enough to allow him to carry on, he said in a new book whose excerpts were published by Italy's Corriere della Sera newspaper on Thursday, March 14. Francis, 87, has been increasingly frail in recent years, using a wheelchair or a cane to move around and recently suffering from what have been described as bouts of bronchitis or colds that have led him to limit his public speaking engagements. And finally, in the news outside the country, the U.S. House of Representatives overwhelmingly passed a bill on Wednesday, March 13, that would give TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance about 6 months to divest the U.S. assets of the short video app or face a ban, in the greatest threat to the app since the Trump administration. The bill passed 352 to 65 in a lopsided bipartisan vote, but it faces a more uncertain path in the Senate, where some favor a different approach to regulating foreign-owned apps posing security concerns. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the Senate will review the legislation. The fate of TikTok, used by about 170 million Americans, has become a major issue in Washington. Lawmakers said their offices had received large volumes of calls from teenage TikTok users opposing the legislation. And that's all for the 12 o'clock news break, March 15, 2024. We'll be right back next week for more news updates. And thanks to our 12 o'clock news break writer, Francia May Boras, and on the technical side, Chad Bobbies, and our Provincial Information Officer, Attorney Mary Luduca Castillo. Ma'am, get well soon. And of course, under the supervision of our Governor, Attorney Elsil Greg Hallare, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing.